Yeah. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna at least do one stream off here. See how this goes a little bit. I cut the good stuff here, but we're gonna watch a little bit of Emily Gorcenski, or however way you pronounce her name, or his name, really. Anyway, I'm playing. I'm playing, y'all. Okay, go ahead and do that, like that. Okay, and that, and that. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm gonna make it full screen. Why not? And hide. And here we go. Here we go. Here we go. She's gonna talk about AOC. So let's see what she got.
About a week ago in the United States House of Representatives. And I just want you to watch what she's asking and how he's responding.
Ms. Ocasio. I think you, of all people, can appreciate using a person's past behavior in order to determine, predict, or make decisions about future behavior. And in order for us to make decisions about Libra, I think we need to kind of dig into your past behavior and Facebook's past behavior with respect to our democracy. Mr. Zuckerberg, what year and month did you personally first become aware of the election? You don't know?
Well, Congresswoman, I'm sure.
I'm gonna skip past this because I don't really care. Okay.
This is happening not just at Facebook, but elsewhere in the industry. I beat up on Microsoft a little bit already, so I'll beat up on them again. GitHub announced earlier this month that they will keep selling software to the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Division of the United States Department of Homeland Security, also known as the Baby Jail people. And what you can see
look at her
hunched.
Look at him hunched over. You know, look how. You know, this is the same dude who's like, "Where the fuck are you at?" At Charlottesville, right? Where the fuck are you at? There's only 40 people here. You know, it's just come on, man. Go ahead.
Those silver things in the photograph there are actually thermal blankets over children who are sleeping on the floor because we are building concentration camps and not even providing bedding for the people who are there who'd never even committed a crime. This is a conscious decision. This contract was only for about $100,000. That is less than it costs to hire a single junior engineer in San Francisco. So this is a conscious decision by GitHub's leadership to engage with and support this behavior on behalf of a state. Microsoft, their parent company now, just announced that they beat Amazon. Of course, we've got the two companies competing for who gets to build the cloud that makes the bombs more efficient that blow up Yemeni funerals. Again, this is a conscious decision. They went out and bid and competed for this work, for this money. Go back to Facebook. Article from the BBC from 3 or 4 days ago.
And look, I'm not going to sit here and defend tech companies, but it's like, you have to remember is that they use tech the same way that we use tech, you know? Emily Gorcenski uses tech to dox people and use that information to get people put in jail that are against her values. Same as right-wing watch, same thing as people like Jared Holt. Make no mistake about it. Make no bones about it. They're only mad because, you know, all these corporations are making money. So don't let these fools try to trick you. Don't let them try to front on you and be like, oh, we actually care about people. No, they don't. No, they do not.
BBC investigation found that Instagram was being used as a slave market in Kuwait and other nations so that women and immigrants could be sold and bought for things like household labor and other unsavory means. So our platforms, the things that we are building, are being used as slave markets today. This is happening. There is promise. There are things that we can do.
Dox people.
If we go back to Winner, he talks about this second type of technology, the ones that the intractable properties are unavoidably linked to particular institutionalized patterns of power and authority. And what he says of them is that there are no alternative, when there are no alternative physical designs or arrangements that would make a significant difference, there are furthermore no genuine possibilities for creative intervention by different social systems, capitalist or socialist, that could change the intractability of the entity or significantly alter the quality of its political effects. So we're not talking here about economics or government. What we are talking about here is the relationship, of course, to power. So if we try to understand this from a business perspective without understanding this from a power perspective, we will fail and we will not solve these problems.
Oh boy, but the thing is that, of course you're going to use AOC, who of course supported a bill which would provide more money to the military so that there wouldn't be another government shutdown. Okay? This is your progressive, people. This is your progressive. Now I'm sounding like Jimmy Dore, but it's like, come on, man. Are you serious? Are you really that fucking serious right now? Let's see. Yeah, the left can only be against things. They can't really be in favor of something. Yeah, that's true. Yep, good to see you, Army Ball. Good to see you. Like I say, this is Emily Gorcenski, the infamous, chick who got involved, who, was designing some drones, or at least designing some software based on game theory, I believe. So, it's just hilarious seeing this broad. Okay, let's continue.
For this reason, I don't talk about ethics anymore. Because sometimes we think of these things, we look at the wrongs, and there's lots of talks. Every conference you will find somebody talking about ethics, maybe saying like, oh, what we need is an ethical code for computer scientists. I no longer believe that to be true. Maybe 15 years ago that was true. Because what will happen is, unless the ethical system will interrupt the flow of capital, which it will not, what we end up doing is creating a set of ethical rules that instead absolves us of our sins. Facebook itself did this in 2016 in response to some revelations that they were engaging in psychological research by seeing if they could alter the user's timeline to induce different psychological states to make them happier, sadder, angrier.
You would do the same thing. You would do the same thing under your little anarchist system or whatever fake was going on. So don't give me that nonsense.
And they looked at the ethics of what they were doing. And what they did is they chose to reject something known as the common rule. They say, we at Facebook found that the common rule framework does not fully meet our research needs. This was published. The common rule was descended from the Belmont report. Research of things that truly don't have that much of an impact, like A/B testing. What if we put the button here or here? What if the button is blue versus red? What if, those types of things. So there's an irony that in rejecting a report that was created in response to a government agency doing something horrible and racist, they instead chose to, again, use a report created by a government agency that is currently doing something horrible and racist. So we see
horrible and racist. Yeah. Oh boy, you could, and I could go back and show y'all show Union Army Ball basically the stuff where she was condescending to the audience, where she's like, oh, do you know about so-and-so thing? Well, you should, because it killed somebody, or, you should talk about self-driving cars and how they killed somebody. And just the, oh my goodness, this is how the left will win, is by condescending people and continuing to use racist this and that, and using the same, this is fairly boilerplate stuff here. This is fairly boilerplate stuff here in Malmo, Sweden. Oh my goodness. I mean, once again, how many times has Malmo, Sweden not been brought up about Wignat? I mean, about, about gangs and dudes with grenades throwing them around and shit. And yet, people just say, and of course, Sweden is one of the worst, was a country that allowed people to still come into their countries after COVID-19 was starting to kill folks. The first, this is just before the first wave, but let's continue.
See this pattern here again, over and over and over. Institutionalized patterns of power and authority. In any case, if we want to think about ethics, we can think about the trolley problem, which does actually have a solution. It's called a transit strike. It's the ability to remove the conditions through which the bad act can be done.
A trolley strike. Oh, yes. And once once AI comes up, then it's not going to matter who's going to be at work or who's going to do this and that. So it's just ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Yeah, bruh, the like ratio. Oh boy, yeah, exactly. It is. It's awful because yeah. Hold on. You know what? Give me 1 minute there. Number ball. Is something you want me to do? Oh, okay. 7 o'clock. Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you, though. Alrighty. Okay. Here we go. Okay. All right. Like I say, I'm
If the
a
trolleys
little too
can't
boomer.
run, you don't have to ever choose
A little
which
too
lever.
boomer sometimes,
You don't ever have to pull the lever to
Oh,
choose
cool.
which track it goes
Forgot.
down.
All right.
So if we want to think about power, if we want to think about the patterns of institutionalized power and authority, we have to think about inverting them if we want to stop the bad acts from being done. And one of the ways that we can invert them is through our roles as developers and engineers. When I gave this talk, or a version of this talk, a few years ago in Berlin at
Felt
JS
slanderous.
I made some people really angry. I'm probably making some people really angry in the audience right now. And somebody tweeted at me, I worked at Fitbit for 4 years. Your statements about Fitbit in your talk felt slanderous. People there cared a lot and thought deeply about ethics, and I don't disagree with that at all. I know that they did. I know people at Fitbit. It's not about what they thought about, it's about what they did. And in this
Oh boy.
case, what they did.
Once again, this is the sins of the father type of thing. Really, this is what it is. It's just they're good people that work there, but they're still bad, evil, racist, or they help to promote fascism and racism because ultimately they work for these evil capitalists that want to make money. And it's like, look, you can see it that way, sure, but the thing is, you think that it's going to be that much better, with some manager who is guaranteed a job, through socialism. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't. By the way, that's not me being against socialism. I'm just saying is that, if you think that, you take the good with the bad, is you can be so mad at the racist system, but guess what? That racism is still going to exist. It doesn't matter what the system is. It makes no difference. It's just window covering at this point. Go ahead.
Because when the Fitbit case was going through the courts in Pennsylvania, nobody from Fitbit stood up and said, no, you can't use our device as an expert witness. That's not right. They're not accurate enough. And so this woman has a criminal record, but what's happened in the past couple of years? A number of lawsuits have been filed against Fitbit arguing that they're inaccurate. And in fact, one class action lawsuit has been settled. And if you've bought a Fitbit, you can sign on to this class action lawsuit. You'll get $12.50 back.
I have never wasted my money on Fitbit. I'll just say that right now. And that's something that wine moms use and would, mostly white women use. You don't see how many black women really use that. How many dudes do you see walking around with that? I don't know. Press X to dial. I'm just saying.
In response to some of these things, people are...
And I know what people will say. That has nothing to do with it. Yeah, you're probably right. But the thing is, though, you have to look at, once again, me being a marketing student, it's like, okay, who really buys this stuff? You have to put that into context. Who is your real market? Who is your audience that you're going for? Anyways, we need to nationalize Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Here's why.
People in positions with major audiences are starting to talk about what it means. So we should care about this as developers. If you don't care about these things, you should, because there are people with extremely large platforms talking about breaking up your company, breaking up the vehicles that you use to get funding, to get attention, to get all of these things. We're talking about nationalizing Facebook, Google, and Amazon, or breaking up Facebook, or regulating Facebook. And there's a few different solutions. In fact, I can count 5 different solutions to the problem. And ironic that this is the order from difficult to, or from easy to difficult. Regulation would be the easiest, and my friend Siva says that it would be one of the greatest challenges in human history. And I'll remind you that we have been to the freaking moon.
Who's been to the moon? We've never been to the moon. That was a setup. Go ahead.
We can regulate them. We can do something a little bit stronger. So we can legislate against them. We can create laws that have criminal penalties rather than...
Screw your legislation. People can go around legislation, and also with legislation, there's always loopholes. Anyone that makes laws will always know you can find loopholes very easily. It's like, ooh, but you can do this, and that's a way to make money. So come on, nationalization. Go ahead. Let's listen to this fatwa. 7 minutes. Let's finish it.
Than just civil penalties. We can nationalize them. That's a challenge, because which nation? Not the baby jail nation, not the one that I'm from, right? I don't live there anymore. I now live in Germany. I don't also trust Germany. So
you fucking hypocrite. The baby jail nation? Oh. Once again, the moral superiority. Oh. And the thing is, once again, I was going to mention this. I should have put up the tweets, but I don't feel like doing it. Is the tweets where she was saying that she helped to get software for the F-35 and help design apparently a drone. I think it was for the Department of Agriculture, I think, or something like that. Something innocuous. And it's like, oh, well, I did that. But it's like, you shouldn't you shouldn't misgender me and, attack trans people. It's just so pitiful. It's so pitiful. But this person, as much as they claim to be an anarchist, they only survive because of bloated hierarchies. It's ironic because, of course, anarchists, at least the cringy anarchists that I've heard online, is it's all about getting rid of unjust hierarchies. And yet, these unjust hierarchies are the reason that you are still around, that you still have a job, whether it's in the United States or now in Germany. It's just pitiful. It really is. Like I say, this person, would be perfectly glad leading Google, finding every fascist and getting them arrested. All right. Don't let them try to fool you by saying, oh, well, we're this person was racist or this and that. They don't, if you think that if people like this get power, they will turn into, the same Lavrenti Beria and all, they will turn into the same, those types of folks. I know that, like I say, maybe I'm a little bit paranoid brained and everything else, but it's like, this person is not, they're trying to paint themselves as egalitarians. They are not egalitarians. These are opportunists, just the same as anyone else. Simple as.
Which nation is going to do it? I don't know. We could demonopolize them. We could certainly break them up. Break Facebook back into Instagram and WhatsApp or whatever. That also won't work. Or we could revolt. And the thing is, it's not on us to choose whether that revolution happens. We can either choose to start acting with ethics, or we can wait for the revolution to happen to force us to. So there's other ways to have that revolution, and that is a revolution from us using our worker power.
Once again, these are folks that have to redefine the definition of revolution. I've seen this with American Johnson as well. It's like, oh, well, I don't mean the revolution where we're shooting people and guns and war and stuff. We mean a different type of revolution. We mean a revolution that we're going to produce this. That's not revolution. That's you pretending that you are actually doing something when you're not. That's a cheap attempt at a parallel structure. That's all it is. That's not revolution. That's not revolution. That's a backup. Don't people keep. This is one of the things you have to realize, and I've seen this on Twitter a little bit, and it's true, is that people change the definitions of things to suit their needs. So just because the definition of something is the way it is right now means that it can get changed. So the idea of revolution is, oh, well, revolution is actually me producing software for this company that will eventually be used by anarchists. No, that's not revolution. That's you making money and, hiding behind revolution for the fact that you don't want to die. It's that simple.
to stop these things before they can start. And there's a list of this. This is a website if you're interested.
Collective
it's a little
actions.
small here, of collective actions in tech that have been happening over the past couple of years. This website, it's just a beautifully simple list of things that are happening in the industry where people are organizing to take power back and exert control over their companies from the inside. So I think it's just...
Tell me how change.org is doing as well, because this looks like change.org, but a lot more stripped down. How are you going to change anything with change? Can you name me one thing? Can you name me one event, one law that has been changed because of change.org? Please tell me, because I bet if it's above 0, I will be fucking surprised. I will be chuffed, as the British say. Jesus wept.
Just collectiveactions.tech, but there's a QR code I'll leave up for a minute here so that you can look at it if you'd like. Most of the tech companies are facing some sort of backlash for this now. There is a movement within GitHub to oppose that contract. At least one person has resigned publicly over it. There's movements inside Amazon for better working conditions in their warehouses. There's discussions. The Google walkout 1-year anniversary was just a few days ago. One of my very good friends was one of the major contributors to that.
Let me tell you why this walkout stuff and all this, the whole, this is walking out of a job is not a revolution. Okay. Can I tell you that right now? Because guess what? People are saying to themselves, hey, I still need a job, man. All right. I don't know how to grow my own vegetables. I don't know how to hunt or, hunt and gather berries and everything else like that, bro. So guess what? I need to keep this job. So they can feel as they want to. But guess what? Apart from those few people who decide that they, that they are on their moral high ground and say, I'm going to stay, they decide to leave. Apart from them, everybody else is going to stay. So this is just utterly fucking pointless. I mean, if you want to, I know this was 2019, but it's like, the thing is what you should do now. And of course, the left doesn't want to because they got their heads up their asses is, try to organize these folks who are going to be losing their jobs and to try to, train some sort of vanguard. And I'm not going to Fed post too hard here, but it's like, if they did something like that, then yeah, that would actually be a threat. This whole walkout stuff and stand there and march with flags, that's just there for show. And all the police have to do is, it's just like with Chopper Chaz. Part of the thing is that they let that happen so that then, we saw all the footage and we saw all the craziness and then they came in, it's just utterly ridiculous, utterly pointless.
Movement. We can do more. We maybe should do more, but I'll let that be up to you to decide.
These are pitiful lumpen bourgeoisie, and I've seen that term, but I think it does fit. And these are pitiful anarcho-bourgeoisie people. I said lumpen bourgeoisie before, but I meant anarcho-bourgeoisie. These anarcho-bourgeoisie type folks who are just like, well, I'm still going to be in tech, but I'm going to do a revolution by retweeting something. And yeah, that's my revolution. It's like, look, don't get me wrong, I fall into that trap too. But eventually, I know that it's going to get worse. And eventually, people are going to make their sides. And everyone is waiting for that group of people to organize something, And then, of course, we can bitch and complain about how it was and whatnot. But they but those few people were the actual ones that organized it. So what do you care? You were busy, working somewhere or something else. But anyway, that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting for organizations to crop up and, they can get paid or get fed. So then they can join, but let's listen to more of this. We're almost done. 6 minutes left.
I care about these things not just because perhaps it's a mea culpa from working in the defense industry for 8 years.
Oh my goodness. You worked in the defense industry for 8 years. So you are not, so you are part of the problem, There we go. Now, of course, this is the same type of thing with, that people try to defend Engels with. It's like, well, yeah, Engels was rich, but he was able to, provide writing and this and that. So he's a good guy. This is the same type of thing. They think that Emily Gorcenski, because she worked in the defense industry for 8 years, but now she calls herself an anarchist and is dabbing on all these Wignats that are getting arrested here in the United States, and yet, lives in Germany. She says, but I don't agree with Germany either. Well, you must have had some reason to move to Germany. Are you going to sit there and go and defend, Somalis or Syrians that are coming to the country? I don't think you are. I think you're doing it because you can get some good bennies out in Germany. Germany has some pretty strong unions, this and that. That's probably why you're there, so that you can hide behind somebody else, because you don't want to be in the front. Because we saw you crying in front of Charlottesville. That's part of the reason why you left too, because you made a fool of yourself. Go ahead.
But I care about these.
I'm sorry. There are some deeper, darker undertones there. Sorry about that. Just to say
things, because I have seen firsthand what they can do to our world. Because when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was questioning Mark Zuckerberg about white supremacist media on Facebook, that is something that rang very close to home for me, literally, because I'm from a place that is in one of the most beautiful places in the world, in my opinion, the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia.
Yep. And yet, oh boy, once again, Charlottesville never ends. Charlottesville never ended. 2016 never ended. It never ended until Biden gets elected, until all that shit changes. The past 4 years has been a time loop. We just go right back to 2016. It always goes back to 2016. There's only 3 things it goes back to. It goes back to either 2016, Charlottesville, or it goes back to Gamergate. This is ultimately those three things are the only things that matter. Ultimately, it goes back to that. It could go back further, but in terms of influence of the right, this and that, it's just those 3 things. Straight up. But yeah, go ahead.
And this area.
Oh boy, is this going to be pitiful?
Of coal miners, steel workers.
You don't care about those people. I have a sense that you don't give a damn about those people.
Road workers started striking because of the working conditions. They were
boy.
Brutal working conditions.
Yep, here we go. Oh boy. Yep, here we go. It leads back into Charlottesville. You know what? And yeah, I'm not going to bother to watch the rest of this crap. I'm not even going to bother. This is absolute feijoa. Okay. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Yeah, the ratio is hilarious, by the way. What do your parents think about your politics? They kind of don't really know. I think that they kind of know in some ways, but ultimately, they're worried, I think, to a point, but I think they realize that ultimately I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. The Soviets got to the moon first, though, just not a human. Yeah, that's true. Deutschland über alles. Yeah, exactly. If 2 and 2 equal 5, revolution can mean anything you want to. I've got to go. See you around. I'll see you later then. Okay. I'm glad. Yeah, that was kind of a long thing, but I appreciate Union Army Ball coming in and everything else like that. I think I'll end this stream. Y'all have a good one. See you later. Goodbye.